Hey collectors, welcome to Star Wars Collected. I'm Jonathan. If you're new here, I hope you consider sticking around and subscribing. But if you've been here before, I want you to hit that like button while saying hello there. Because what we have is the Purge Trooper from Kenobi. We're gonna talk a little bit about Kenobi while we put this thing together. Take a look at it and I'll let you know what I think. So this statue right here is from Gentle Giant, which is owned by Diamond Select Toys, but we kind of all know it still as Gentle Giant. And this is part of their Premier Collection. Now, Premier Collection is 1/7 scale. Gentle Giant's a little weird in that they have a lot of different lines with a lot of different scales. 1/7 is about as small as I like to go most of the time. I prefer 1/6 and above, but you know, they make it in the size that they make it. So this is the Purge Trooper from Kenobi, not to be confused with the Purge Trooper from Jedi Fallen Order and now Jedi Survivor, which I am in the middle of playing right now and am loving. So if you guys are loving that as well, please let me know down in the comments. Now, Gentle Giant's a manufacturer that's been around for a long time, and they've made some incredible pieces over the years. A lot of my statues and a lot of my pieces are Gentle Giant pieces. They're not quite at the quality that Sideshow and Hot Toys and some of the other ones out there are, but they also do not demand the prices that those do. So Gentle Giant, I think, is a great place to either kind of start off your collection or to pick up some things like this guy, which is not something that I would ever spend, you know, Sideshow premium format prices for, or even kind of like Hot Toy figure prices for, because it didn't make that big of an impact. Now, I think it's kind of cool, and if Star Wars has taught me anything, it's that a lot of times, you know, when a piece like Kenobi comes out and maybe doesn't quite hit how we thought it would hit or want it to hit, or, you know, a figure or a design is sort of like background that, you know, Star Wars kind of loves that kind of thing. And we're kind of taking a look at this Purge Trooper here and see what we have. Now, I'm wearing my Celebration 2022 t-shirt because during Celebration 2022, that is when Kenobi was coming out, and it was all the talk of the town. That's when I met Ewan McGregor at that celebration, which was really exciting, and I had him sign a Kenobi poster. Now, Kenobi didn't maybe quite hit how we had hoped it would hit, and it had its issues and probably would have worked better as a film, which was how it was originally intended, but there were some cool things that still came out of that, and hopefully some things like the design of this Purge Trooper we will see again somewhere in Star Wars and kind of help tie it all together. Like I said, I'm playing Jedi Survivor right now, and it's a little odd that this design wasn't maybe incorporated into that. They are still using sort of the older, more Clone Trooper based ones, but you know, you never really get a great look at this guy in Kenobi, which is kind of one of the reasons I wanted to pick it up. I wanted to kind of be able to really get a close look, and I kind of like those background characters. You know, you have to remember that Boba Fett started off as a cool guy with a T-visor. And you think about how much we love a lot of these Cantina aliens and Jabba's Palace aliens and things like that. This guy, maybe someday we'll look at him that way as well. This was another example of don't buy it new from Gentle Giant or an authorized you know, retailer, because if you watch the secondary market, you're gonna be able to pick it up for very little. So MSRP on this guy, I don't actually remember. They're usually around $200 to $250 depending on what they are. Sometimes they're a little bit cheaper, but I paid nowhere near that for this guy, and it does appear that it was open before, maybe as a display piece, but it is in perfect condition from what I can tell. So let's take a look here. It looks like he's using the Death Troopers, a modification of the E11 blaster there, so that's kind of cool. So the Purge Trooper, of course, is a type of trooper that has been trained specifically to kind of help Inquisitors or hunt down Jedi at least, and they are usually all in black with red accents, so they look very Inquisitor-like. Now this guy's helmet is very, very kind of Darth Vader-y meets Death Trooper. He has really kind of Vader's top of the helmet on here, and then the front mask area here is a little bit more like Death Trooper, almost like a little bit of Range Trooper in there as well. It's an interesting design. Is it the most amazing design? Does it have like that Shore Trooper or that Death Trooper quality to it, where it's a new design but you're instantly just like, that's amazing? I don't know if it's quite there, but it is a very unique thing. We only see them very little in Kenobi, and unless I am just out of the loop, I have not seen them show up in anything else. So like I said, I kind of like having some weird stuff like this in my collection that's just a little bit out there. Something that you're just like, oh yeah, there was that guy in Kenobi. I think that's a little bit interesting. You know, I could fill my collection with nothing but Boba Fett or Chewbacca or something like that, but this is kind of a cool piece to have. So let's go ahead and take it for a spin here as I go around. Like I said, I think this may have been a display unit. I am finding a decent amount of dust on it, but no actual issues with it. So the base here, I think, is supposed to be kind of like the Inquisitorious, you know, castle type thing that they had there, their hangar, their bay that they had in there, or at least a floor from that Inquisitor headquarters. So it's kind of reminiscent of that. You kind of have these, you know, red little lines on the front, very Imperial looking, that we're kind of used to. I'm really just not that familiar with this armor, so looking at it, there's a lot of things in here that look very clone-like. The actual bottom part of this looks very clone-like. This chest plate up here looks very clone-like. When you get into here, sure, it kind of looks clone-like, kind of looks Stormtrooper-like. It does have elbow pieces, so you are still sort of seeing this strong connection to the clone era in the outfit that this has. It does have a very kind of what we would consider to be a Stormtrooper belt on it, although that does change a little bit as you get up front here as well. And these pieces are a little bit more clone-like. So, you know, this is kind of why I'm excited about a piece like this, because you really kind of can get up close and inspect it and sort of see where all the design influences are coming from. You know, they didn't do a lot in the show, but this statue here looks pretty menacing, and this would be a pretty cool piece to see, you know, maybe at a Star Wars Celebration as someone cosplaying. I would be excited to see this out there, and if you're looking for an armor or a costume to do that would be pretty unique, that a lot of people aren't doing, this would be a pretty cool one to do. I'm sure there's not a lot of these in the 501st. It is a cool combination of, you know, the Stormtrooper that we know and the Clone Troopers as well, coming from Kenobi, which is a piece that, you know, is sort of has its highs and lows, and maybe isn't as beloved as some of the other pieces that are out there, but I think this is a pretty cool piece, and I'm excited to have this on my shelf. Speaking of shelves, I am getting very close to starting to build my new display space here, and I'm excited to, once I unbox these things, instead of putting them back into a box, being able to walk over and put them on a shelf somewhere in this this gallery space here. So there's space behind me here, but there's even more space behind the camera, and I'm getting really excited about building that. So if you guys are excited about seeing me do that, make sure you subscribe and stick around. So final thoughts on this guy here. It is something which I don't think is going to have a lot of emotional value for a lot of people out there. If Kenobi was just your absolute favorite thing that you've seen, or you hold it in high regard, you may like this quite a bit and may want to pick something like this up for yourself. I do know that Hot Toys has made a version of this as well, and if it doesn't prove to be a real popular character, you might want to watch the secondary market as well and see if you can't maybe pick up the Hot Toys version of this, which is probably going to be a higher quality version. Again, I paid very little for this guy, so I feel comfortable with my purchase, but I don't think I would recommend this at the full MSRP, just because it doesn't really resonate with the fan base as much as a lot of the other statues that they are making. But if it resonates with you, that's all that's important. My number one rule in collecting is collect what you love. It doesn't really matter like what scale it is, what quality it is. If it's something that you like and it resonates with you, then that's what you should be adding to your collection. It's that simple. All right, collectors, hop down in the comments. Let me know what you think about this Purge Trooper from Kenobi, made by Gentle Giant. You know, overall, I think it's a pretty okay piece. It's not blowing me away. I'm not seeing details that I'm shocked and surprised about, but it's certainly not hurting either. It's not really a fault of necessarily Gentle Giant. It's just sort of like, this is the design that Lucasfilm went with. It doesn't do a lot in the show, and it's not from a series that has become as beloved as something like The Mandalorian has, or held in as high of esteem as something like Andor. So, you know, if you love this design and you're able to find this guy for a price that you feel is comfortable, then I don't see anything wrong with this statue, and I would say go ahead and pick it up. If you guys like videos like this, make sure you subscribe and follow along, because we're making videos like this all the time. I have like 30 things behind the camera right now that need to be unboxed. I'm trying to get to them all, and we're also going to be building up this gallery here very shortly, which I'm really super excited about. Also, make sure you guys are following me on Instagram. That's a place where we can interact a little bit more freely and daily and directly, and I'm always throwing things up there like special deals that I find online, as well as funny stuff and things like that, and it's really a great community. So guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.